Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and good evening in some of the locations. Welcome to our session, which says Going Virtual, Conducting Your Classes and Trainings Online. So a very warm welcome to all the registered participants today. Thank you for logging into this webinar session on Going Virtual, Conducting Your Classes and Trainings Online. This will be presented by Dr. Priti Mody Iyer. She's our lead digital training from Transcat. I am Vinod Nayak, and your senior consultant at Transcat People Solutions Private Limited, and your host for today. Please do keep your mics on silent. The session will be for 60 minutes with a dedicated question and answer sessions after the presentation. You're requested to type in your questions in the chat box. We shall address them during the QA session. Thank you for your cooperation. And also look out for the chat box. You will have different inputs being shared across on this, and you can use it over a period of time. This is our 7th webinar in our current season, hosted by Transcat and Rotary Bangalore Sneha. After last evening's informative and insightful sessions of cybersecurity, safe usage of social media and internet by Mr. Sebastian, we are looking forward for this helpful and a guiding session on Going Virtual by Dr. Priti Mody. All our previous webinars are well received by participants and are uploaded on our YouTube channel and on the website. Transcat is a pan-India management consulting company, one of the most sought-after catalysts for change. They transform people and organizations to excel in their field. Many consultants have worked with companies in US, Europe, Middle East, and other regions. Many of them are recipients of various awards. 3 consultants are Guinness Book of World Record holders in firewalk for changing the mindset of thousands of employees. We are a group of people with the right mix of knowledge, competency, experience, and attitude to contribute to our clients' success. Our vision: to become one of the most sought-after catalysts for change and, in turn, transform people and organizations to exceed their expectations. Our services: we are a strategic human resource diagnostic company, advisory, digital learning and development, outbound training, skill building, willingness building, instructional design, behavioral assessments, psychometric assessments, competency framework, coaching, mentoring, employee surveys, performance management systems, organizational development, employee engagements, HR outsourcing, business reengineering, and social and ethical compliance. We also do implementations, mobile-based learning, mobile app-based feedback, and ROI tracking, return on investment tracking, corporate videos, and CSR implementations. Rotary Bangalore Sneha is a part of Rotary International District 3190. Rotarian Dr. S. Nithalila is the current president. This club has been very active during these testing times of COVID-19. The president herself has volunteered on numerous occasions and has distributed food and grocery supplies to laborers and needy people around few pockets of Bangalore South. So coming to today's topic and the thought leader, Dr. Priti Mody Iyer. Dr. Priti Mody Iyer, ND, is our lead in digital training. She is a storyteller and leadership trainer with a focus on behavioral and soft skills training. She conducts executive coaching, individual or group sessions, and workshops, all essentially aimed at personal and professional growth. She has also, to her credit, outbound leadership programs, team building workshops, and induction programs. Priti has over 18 years of human resource related experience, of which more than 10 are in executive coaching, training, organizational development, and program facilitation. In addition to this, an excellent media experience as a financial correspondent for Asia Business News India, now CNBC TV 18. Priti is a certified firewalk instructor and an advanced empowerment coach from Sundor, US. Priti is also a certified Brahma Vidya Pranayama children's course teacher, a Tai Chi enthusiast, and yoga practitioner. She does voiceovers whenever time permits. I would now hand over the reins to Priti, and she will take it over from here. Over to you, Dr. Priti.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you for this lovely welcome and very interesting introduction, Vinod. It makes me feel very accomplished indeed. So thank you. Thank you very much. So good afternoon, good evening. I would say namaskar to all my friends. A very warm welcome to you. I'm absolutely delighted to be here today. Presenting this particular webinar has been something that Transcat and we have been working on for a long time. And I'm going to tell you a big secret about Transcat. Some of you have been associated with it, some of you have not. There is a fire that burns within every single person that works at Transcat. They have this fire to give, this desire to serve. And that service is possible only because all of you are here. So I am truly grateful that you've signed up and that you've chosen to spend your Sunday afternoon with me. And I'm trusting that this evening or afternoon, as the case may be, would be beneficial to you. I wish I could offer you a cup of coffee or tea because it is Sunday and we're supposed to be relaxed and having a good time. So unfortunately, you're going to have to get your own cup of coffee or tea. And we will enjoy this afternoon because what I have for you here today is something, while some of it you may know, I'm trusting that a lot of it will be new and will benefit you in your work. Like Vinod mentioned, please do keep a lookout on the chat box because we'll give you instructions, links, tips to make this session as engaging and interesting as we can. So here we go. I'm going to share my presentation now and we'll begin. Right? So if we were sitting in a conference room, while I'm sharing, I'll continue to talk, right? So please go on. If we were sitting in a regular classroom, I would need you to fill in, I would ask you this question. I would say, so why are you here? Why are you giving me your Sunday afternoon? I'm sure you have plenty to do. So I would request you to type your answer in the chat box. Yes? As you do that, I'm going to share one of the tools. Some of the best ways to learn is to learn by seeing, by watching somebody do it. So one of the powerful tools that you can use in a webinar or online learning is this. So I'm going to share this and I'd like you to type your answer in the chat box. What do you believe is the importance of online learning and why are you here today? All of that. So let's just go ahead. And here we go. I can see some lovely answers coming up. I can see to learn something new. I'm trusting that we'll help you with that. And the need of the hour, oh yes, absolutely. Reaching out to the masses, definitely. These are all powerful reasons, right? So presentation and engaging audiences, for sure, we're going to do it. And to enrich yourself, oh, I'm so glad. I like that you're a person after my own soul. I love to learn something new and to keep moving forward every day. Dr. Neela says, to the need of the hour in the educational field, to inject a new boost. Absolutely. As you can see, because we have one person who's typing in all of these things that you are mentioning, this is a tool that you can use in your virtual classroom. So this is what we call the Jamboard. Usually in one of my workshops or webinars, I would give all my participants access to this Jamboard, which means that as I wrote, as I put up the Jamboard, you could put in your own sticky note as you did this, as it's coming up by yourself. The only reason we're not doing it just now because Google Meet sometimes has, it is quite a few of us. It's a very large group. So we want to be quick and swift in it, and we want to keep our bandwidth clear at the moment. So we have one person from our team who is typing in all of this and putting it onto the Jamboard. But if you were in a session with me, and and that's going to happen soon, I'm guessing, with have a surprise for everybody at the end, you would be putting this up yourself. So you're getting your audience engaged and interaction immediately. So to be more effective in coaching or training, like we've mentioned, it has become the need of the hour. There is nothing else you can do. So let's move back into our presentation. Yes. And we're back. So one quick tip that I could give you is, whenever you're in a presentation, keep your timing right. As in, if you're switching between applications, as it were, don't be in a hurry. Go slow, go relaxed, be peaceful, because then that gives you that movement and you're able to move forward. Okay, so you've all given me the very valuable reasons why online and virtual classrooms have become important. Digital learning was anyway picking up its pace, but we were resisting it. A lot because of the low quality, sometimes we weren't able to get there. Now there are lots of recent developments, and we know why. I don't even want to say why, but we know we've been pushed into this area. We have had to leap across a time that would have taken us at least 3 or 4 more years to get there. So I would say, let's go on to connectivity. So here we would be, when we talk about connectivity, we're talking about theoretically being able to connect any two people, a teacher and a student, and more, of course, anywhere in 2 points of the globe. For example, I'm talking to you today from Singapore. A whole lot of you are in Mumbai, some are in Bangalore. I'm not sure if we had some of our guests from Dubai as well. So we have this amazing ability now to talk to each other over distances as if it doesn't matter. It seems like it's a sci-fi movie. We very rarely stop. Oh, Dhaka. Thank you, Ashraful. That's amazing. Thank you. So I'm so glad you logged on. Well, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So theoretically being able to communicate over any 2 points in the globe, that is amazing. So that connectivity to me is very inspiring. So that is important. You have to be part of this new paradigm, because if you're not, you're left behind. Comfort and flexibility. Of course, comfort. I'm sitting and talking with you in my living room. I'm trusting some of you are in your pajamas. I'm hoping it's a Sunday afternoon. So I'm relaxing, you're relaxed, you're enjoying a conversation or learning something new in the comfort of your home. Flexibility, because you have the option to do this, to do not do it. Most likely they're going to record it. So you may have a chance, if you are not able to catch it at this time, you would get a chance to even view the recorded version. So for some of us on a Sunday afternoon, for some of us, if you had to have an idea, you would be able to just get the information at a time that is convenient for you. To me, that is amazing. When I had my children, I would have loved the ability, when after everything was done and they were asleep, to be able to learn a new skill. But I had to go to class. And it took more. I did it, but it took a lot more out of me. The reason also we're able to do this is because capacity and scalability, right? So the capacity is that in a classroom, in a conference room, I may be able to have only, say, 50 people, 100 people. So I've spoken to about 1,000 in an auditorium, but in general, beyond that, it's gone. So now if I have the scalability concept, and the idea of how much you can do is enormous. Also, the best part, if you ask me, is it's all front row seat. There's no difference, right? It's all one-to-one. You know that what I'm speaking to you is just you and me talking with each other, like two friends sharing a cup of coffee, and you're having this conversation. So that capacity, that scalability to me is a big gift. Oh yes, Dr. Mahendra, it does create a cosmopolitan family. That's amazing, right? It becomes as good as a television, right? But with much more interaction and much more specific to what you're doing, because you know that I'm with you. I'm not on a TV. I'm on a TV, but I'm not on a TV. So you know what I'm talking about. And of course, this is my favorite reason. Yes, reducing the carbon footprint. This is a picture, a beautiful picture of the Himalayas, and it is visible 200 kilometers away from Kathmandu. And I had another one from Chandigarh that was about 100, 150 kilometers away, where you could see the beautiful peaks after 30 years, because we reduced air pollution and we reduced literally our carbon footprint. Besides all of that, I mean, you're helping Mother Earth. What else does one want, right? So to me, the benefits of a virtual classroom are tremendous. The importance really is about getting to our people, getting to reach so many people in one shot. So we have two things about this, right? So I'm going to tell you, so I know Vinod mentioned to you that I'm now a storyteller as well. So my session is going to be peppered with stories. I don't like teaching. I like to have fun. I like to talk. I like to enjoy getting to know you and giving you all that I have with stories. So I'm going to tell you a very quick story. Little Amy was watching her mother cooking a big, large piece of ham. I know there are a lot of Muslims here today, so I apologize, but she was doing that. We don't do it. And she saw her mother cut off a large piece at the end and then throw that piece away. And she looked at her mother and said, Mama, why did you do that? Is it spoiled? So her mother looked at her and said, no, I did it because your grandmother did it that way. And she did it, and her ham was the best in the whole village. I never asked her. Let's call her up. So they did. They called grandmother. And grandmother picked up the phone and said, I did it because my mother did it. You can ask her. Let's call her. And we'll use a Zoom call to call her. And she will be delighted to hear from us. And when that happens, maybe some juices get better. Maybe that part is not good for you or something. So when they called grandmother up, grandmother says, now grandmother's old and frail, right? But her mind was as sharp as a whip. We know our people like that. So when they asked her, they said, oh, that was because I had a very small oven. It would not have fit the whole ham. Plus, at that time, we didn't have fridges. So I had to throw away the remaining piece. Such a waste. I always felt bad about it. But what to do? We didn't have refrigerators. It would have got spoiled. And so for 3 generations on, they had wasted a good chunk of meat for a small oven. So this is the reason today, if we take and analyze everything that we do, the way we teach, the way we learn, the way we work, we are going to find a lot of things that will inspire us and a lot of things that we would like to change. Being aware of that is essential. I'd like you to share this now. Just take a look at this. Just take a quick look at this and we'll move forward.
अरे अन्ना कहाँ गए?
बच्ची को स्कूल में पढ़ाना है।
एडमिशन फुल है।
चल भाई साहब, गांव में स्कूल नहीं है तो कैसे पढ़ेगी? मेरे पोती को भर्ती करो। गांव में स्कूल नहीं है तो कैसे पढ़ेगी? अरे वो पढ़ेगी।
एक स्कूल में सबको कैसे पढ़ा? आइडिया।
Good morning, children. चुप।
Good morning, teacher बोलो।
Good.
2 3s are 6. 2 5s are 4. कौन करे बच्चे? Go big. मुर्गा बन जाओ। Q4 S4. Left, right, left.
Student of the Year is Lakshmi Raghav. What an idea, Sarji.
आज definitely Sunday hai. So we've been moving towards this, right? This ad came out in 2008 or 2009, if I'm not mistaken. And I know the company doesn't, exist anymore, or it does exist, but you know all the issues that are happening. I don't need to go there. But the fact is that at that time, even with the hand phone, people were dreaming of this. And now, with the advances of technology, with reading, with the internet reaching everywhere, can you imagine the potential of this wonderful space? So we've been moving towards it. And like I said, we've been pushed, much faster than we would have. So are we going to sit back and keep fighting it? Or are we going to embrace the new normal? The choice remains with us. And if we are going to embrace the new normal, we need to be aware. Because if you're not aware, you're jumping into something that there will be pitfalls. According to, we just discussed all of the importances and the benefits and the rosy side of all of it, right? We just did that a little while ago. So I'm going to use these slides and we're going to discuss the pitfalls and how to solve them so that we can be more effective and more aware in our own work as teachers, as trainers, as coaches, as managers, and even as parents to take ourselves, our children, and our country also. Wherever you are from, whichever country you belong to, take the human race forward. Because education is, knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. So we're going to do that right now in this session from going forward. So when you take flexibility, we discussed flexibility and how it is. Now when you have a flexible program, it requires a great deal of self-discipline. Because it means that you have to get up at a certain time. If it's recorded, great, right? But you need to get up at a certain time. You need to watch a recorded session. Then you need to sit and do the assignments by yourself. And this discipline is true of everybody, not only small children, but adults as well. So that if you have not built up your discipline muscle, then you're going to have a problem. But it's still not that difficult because you still have accountability and you're expecting, and people are going back and forth and they are waiting for you. So if you have a teacher waiting online, like you knew that there was a webinar scheduled, you knew there would be people here talking to you. So even if it's a Sunday afternoon, you'd say, okay, fine, I'll just connect. You never know. I'll just sit and watch. If I don't find it interesting, I can always leave. That was the idea. So, but you did it. So that is the discipline that is required. When you have a wide selection of programs, it becomes easier to customize and, how should I say this, to make each program specific to what we need, correct? So if you have a wide selection of programs, what often happens is there's lack of credibility. There will be 50 people teaching online training. There will be 50 people teaching, take any topic under the sun. And then it is your responsibility to figure out which one's valid, which one's not. So the need of the hour is now becoming for universities and proper institutions who will certify, who will explain, who will give the information that we need, that this is what you need to look at, and the others are just fly-by-night operators. I'm not judging people who don't have certifications, because I do, let's say, for example, if you are an enrichment class teacher, that means if you are an art teacher or if you are a music teacher, right? So you have your certification and you're taking an online class for students, a small batch, 5 batch, 10 batch, 20 batch, you might be taking 50, but you're taking that class. So you will have to improve your quality of delivery and even your credibility in the market. So I am not criticizing the small operators. I'm talking about the people who are here just to make the money because they say, oh, this is a market. Yes, it's a market. And in some time, I will tell you how big a market it is. But this is for getting a certification or clarity towards it, right? Accessibility. Of course, these trainings and virtual classrooms are accessible, but there are technology challenges. Anyone who has hosted a webinar or has attended one knows that sometimes, no matter how much you plan and how much you practice, there will be days when the internet says low bandwidth. There will be days when your computer will not work. Sometimes the sound will not work. Sometimes your equipment will say, oh my goodness. There will be times and days when you will be faced with that. In addition, there will be times when the people, if your work equipment and your system is working, the people who are on the receiving end may not get it. So we know all about internet being down, and that's we know. We don't need to go there. Let's not call it here. So let's go to there. So we will not look at that, but we know the challenges, right? And of course, the cost. There is a cost associated with technology. Earlier, it was when you went to school and your children, you paid for one course and you were set. But if you are, or even if you're a trainer, right? So you walk into, you have your briefcase, you have your laptop for presenting, and you are done, right? The organization took care of the PowerPoint, the projectors, the school takes care of all of that. Here, you have to do it. You have to make sure your equipment is perfect, your lighting is perfect, your camera is perfect. You have to do all of that. And you may sometimes need more than one screen if you want it to be effective. So there is a cost associated with technology. In some of the tips and techniques that we're going to discuss later, we will discuss of how to reduce some of these costs. And that's what we discuss in our course as well. We have a course about the same thing, about virtual online classes. And we're going to discuss them more in detail, but I will definitely give you some so that you go away with being able to, hit the ground running, as it were. Customized learning, we've already spoken about. And of course, there is a lack of self-motivation and direction. Here, you know that when you're studying, there is a path for you to follow. So virtual classrooms are flexibility when you have a flexibility of time, path, pace, and direction. Right? So if any of these change, that is what, the classroom is not flexible. So here we are looking at flexibility of place. We want to keep the pace constant. We want to give the opportunity a little bit up and down. So if a course is for 6 months, we may give somebody 8 months to complete it, but not a year. Right? So that there is direction, there is a consistent pace. Cost effective. Yes, the pros are that in some ways it is cost effective. A webinar, a course that would cost you a great deal of money can be offered at much lesser price because you're reaching more people. So you have the economies of scale going for you. And that is wonderful. But there is little or no face-to-face interaction. So that is something we are going to talk about. And in my webinars and for Transcat as well, we are focused on giving you that interaction in our classes so that you get the benefit of us being there. That is the most important thing in my personal opinion. That's the only thing that distinguishes a face-to-face webinar or an effective virtual classroom from a regular digital e-learning course where you watch a recorded thing and you do your assignments. The quality of that, even though it may be very nicely done, something like this is essential. So let's go on to our next slide. As we go here, before we discuss the key elements of our virtual classroom, I'm going to lead you with another story. Yeah? So my story is about a farmer who had a beautiful stallion and a horse. And this horse ran away. Everybody came to the village and said, oh my God, what horrible luck, terrible luck. The horse ran away. This old man just, maybe so, maybe not. We'll see. A few days later, that horse came back. And this time he had some beautiful 5 or 6 mares with him. Villagers were like, oh my goodness, what good luck. Wow, your horse came back. The farmer, you know what he does. So do it with me. He shrugged. Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see. A few days later, the farmer's son was trying to break the mares in. He needed to ride them. So one of them kicked him and broke his leg. And the young man was in a lot of pain, injured badly. Villagers came again. And you know what they did. Oh, so sad. What horrible luck. What terrible luck. Your son is now might be lame. What did the old man do? Shrug and say, maybe so, maybe not. We'll see. A few days later, again, it was the army of the king who came looking to recruit soldiers. They picked up all the able-bodied young men, but they left this young man because he was recovering from his injury. All the villagers were like, oh, what horrible, what good luck for you. How wonderful, your son is spared. All our people, all our sons are gone. What did the farmer say? We know what he said. Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see. So it's very important to keep and understand that we make our luck. And just because the situation in our world is what it is, we don't say this is good, we don't say this is bad. We accept that situation and move forward with confidence so that we may make the best of it. Besides, when time will tell, we will definitely see. We move on now to discuss the key elements of an effective virtual classroom. Right? So an effective virtual classroom is an online space that stimulates a live classroom. It is learning facilitated by technology that gives students some element of control over any one or more of the elements of time, place, path, and pace. Now that we have this, these are the three key elements we are going to focus on in this webinar: curriculum and assessment, interaction, which is my favorite, and technology, which is also my favorite. So we're going to discuss these three elements as we go along. But before that, I'd like you to look in your chat box and if you can, just click on that link that is posted there right now by Mr. Rajan Iyer and answer 2 questions for me so that I know which direction we can take this webinar so that it can be of maximum benefit. So go right ahead and do that. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. And when that happens, I will show you what I'm doing. So as you answer, you can see our pie of our audience changing. Let's just wait for a few more. Just a few more while we are here. It looks like our audience is primarily coaches and trainers. And so a lot of us are focused on adult, the higher levels, but 15 years and above. But there is a sizable percentage of teachers at school as well. So I will be sure to give you some more information that will benefit you as well. It is so wonderful to be here with fellow teachers. I cannot even begin to tell you how happy it makes me. We are all islands by ourselves, right? In our own little silos, in our own little workshops, in our own little schools. So to have a forum like this where we can talk and interact and learn from each other is such a big blessing. To me, it's wonderful. So we have 31 responses. I'll just wait 5 seconds more, going once, going twice, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we have a basic idea of what we're doing. So I'm going to now go back to my presentation. Yeah, thank you. So now that we're here, let's talk about curriculum and assessment. All right. So when we say curriculum and assessment, I'm not going to teach you here now to what you need to teach, right? That's not my job. Some of you are definitely very qualified and know exactly, you've been in the field of coaching, training, school, even as teachers. You've been in the field for years and you know your subject. It's not my job to teach you what to teach, but I will help you tweak the how, so that you yourself feel happy. Because the biggest joy and happiness a teacher or a trainer receives is when the participants get that joy. So when I talk about content, I'm just going to go through the curriculum points very quickly, just to touch upon them, to know that this is what we are doing. Also, when we do our course, we do go in depth and we do teach design and we do all of that. But right now, this is just to go quickly. We're going to spend more time on the other things that we can immediately benefit from. So when we talk about content, you're talking about separating contents into learning objectives and grouping them into modules. Am I right? So we know that, like textbooks have chapters, we have modules. It is very important to distill learning objectives. So we use the 5 why analysis in everything that we do teach. And that's why I gave you that example of that pan, the story that I mentioned. You ask why for everything, so that when at the end, you're left with a beautiful product that your student can actually benefit from. Here now you use classroom combinations to match learning. So in a real school, you would be, you're doing lecturing and you'll have some group discussions, but that's pretty much it. In a learning or coaching training situation, you might have learning games, you might have interactive sessions, you might have experiential learning sessions. So in here, you need to be able to have a fully online classroom, or you may have an enriched virtual classroom, you may have some other things. There are a lot of combinations that you can use to make yourself more effective. And all assessment has to be built into the curriculum structure. Reflections, quizzes, scenario-based questions, formative assessments. If you don't build them into the curriculum while you're designing it, later it gets extremely complicated. So the most important thing is that once you've decided classroom combinations and assessments, you can then move forward to something that we can do something about in a webinar in the short time that we have together. And that is interaction. It is very important to build interaction and to do more and more of it. And that is what you do by the first thing you do is creating presence. When you create presence, you're talking about 3 kinds of presence. You're talking about social presence, you're talking about cognitive presence, and you're talking about teaching presence. Social presence is very, very important in an online classroom because there are 3 types. It's affective, interactive, and cohesive. So social presence is, how do I give it, very quick? A WhatsApp group. If you have a WhatsApp group, you always have somebody saying, hello, good morning, doing this, doing that. That is your affective presence. Saying, I'm here, being just presence, attendance. Interactive are those people, or that you see, you have to take this, you have to put in these all three hats as a teacher, as a trainer, as a coach. When you're doing this online in a WhatsApp group, everybody does it for you, but here you are the one who's going to do it, or at least at the very least you're going to encourage it. You have to have all of these on, not simultaneously, but going on at some stage or the other. So when you're doing something interactive, here you would be increasing discussions. You would be inspiring everybody to move. You would be showing understanding. You would say, oh, yes, I agree with you. Like, say, for example, if some of you have written in the chat box, yes, Preeti, I agree with you, or this is interesting. You were displaying your interactive presence. Now, if you were chatting and I were to write, yes, this is what I agree with you, this is what's happening. So I am displaying my interactive presence, interactive social presence with you. The cohesive presence is what binds the group together. That usually happens very naturally because everybody has the same goals and commitment. But it is up to you to bind it because you are the leader of that group. So you need to get them together, moving together. Coaches and trainers are very familiar with this sort of thing. They know how to bind the group together towards that learning objective. For teachers at school and in colleges even, the cohesiveness comes from, okay, I need to give this exam at a certain stage. So some of us are inspired deeper. I need my children to love math, or I want my students to be the best in economics. So whatever your topic or subject is. So you're building that cohesive presence and you have to do it yourself. Cognitive presence is the process by which a learner creates a construct of meaning through a unit of inquiry and discussion with the teacher, okay, or the presenter, with me as in this case. So this is basically the interaction between the teacher and the student that creates a construct that enables him or her to learn. A teaching presence is essential because we all know that one teacher who walked down that road in the hallway and everybody went, oh, or everybody, ah. We all know those teachers, right? So they had that presence and that power. So in this world and this scenario, to create that is not possible. But you need to give them the desire that you are giving them some information, that you are teaching, that you are there, that you are inspiring. So there are two ways of doing this: facilitating a discussion, like we would do, we would discuss, we would have something, and you have direct instruction. By instruction, you would present content, you would explain, you would correct misconceptions, you would guide towards what it is that you wish them to learn, you would summarize. When you are discussing, you're again going to inspire your students and people to respond, to participate, to be, how should I say this, acknowledge what they contribute, and create a basic atmosphere that would be free and able, where people were able to speak. So let's go back to the interaction slide. And the second thing that we would do when we are encouraging interaction is to ensure expectations are set. Now, when you set expectations, it is very important because each age group, like we discussed, you just answered 2 questions, each age group has different expectations. Age groups 15 onwards, you need to tell them that you will, say, for example, you might say, I need your assignment on time. Otherwise, you will email me before I come here. But for the 0 to 9, from the 9 years and below age group, your expectations are going to differ. Your expectation will be when you enter the classroom, you will keep your mic on mute. You will sit in the camera in front of it. You will place your camera correctly so I can see you. You will not fidget. They're children, right? And that you will write your answer, then you will, finish your homework. So those expectations in the classroom, final expectations of the course, of course, but in the classroom, what do you expect them to do are important. When you've got expectations set, your life is much easier. So when we move on ahead to creating online community support, how do you do that? In schools, you will have these children running around at recess time talking. In college and higher education levels, they will form groups. They will sit in the canteen. They will do things. How do they do that online? So that's what you do. You choose online platforms like Seesaw or I think Stream, and you build communities over there where you are moderating. Choose somebody to moderate for you, to help you, to work with you as you move forward. The next level would be group and individual projects and discussions, and this comes only after you got that online. So then they can discuss, speak with each other, and move forward in the group. We do that for all our classes, training, teaching, but this is doing it online. You use resources that are available online. Keep it easy, because you do have textbooks, but not everybody has access to the same textbooks. Not everybody knows, say if you're in a different part of the country, right? So I'm in Singapore, so I may have a textbook easily available here, which may not be in Bangalore, and you may have something that I don't have it available. So yes, you may give textbooks and things like that, but when you use essential resources online, you're making it easier for your participants. You're using research papers. Sometimes you may need to buy a research paper also, and that's fair. You could charge it into the, into your school cost, or every school has a budget. So you charge that and you buy that research paper or that book and have it sent to people in Kindle format or in PDF format, whatever it takes to keep those online resources going. You could use videos. There are hundreds of free resources. You don't need to spend so much for everything. Higher learning, yes, probably. But lower levels, there are lots of resources available online if you know where to look. And also, if you just do a few searches, get smart about it, you definitely can. Then we move to keeping channels of communication open. The best teachers and trainers are those that are approachable. So you need to be able to keep that open. Let me give you a very basic, simple example. So my full title is Dr. Priti Mody Iyer, ND, and there is ICWAI, DPT, MBA, M.M.S. 5, 6 more are there after it, okay? But when I say that, I don't make friends, okay? And when I'm teaching, nobody wants to be, oh yes, you want somebody, but when I'm teaching a group, they want to know what I can give them. So I haven't been called Dr. Priti unless, somebody is just very, very close. So they want to tell me, hey, Dr. Priti, behave like a doctor. Or I am, so it is very different. So you do not wish to create barriers between them. So when I was in India, I used to work in India for a long time. So I would be called all sorts of things. Priti Ben, Priti Ji, Priti Beti. And yes, I've taught very, very senior people as well. And that was very touching to me, because we do this very easily in India, in Dhaka, in all of the Asian subcontinent. It's easier to get that connection because we form those connections very quickly. But when you're teaching in a place like the US or abroad, other Western countries, as it were, it's very important to get that barriers of communication down. The reason I'm saying this is because you have maths, economics teachers, professors who will be teaching people the world over. So if you're going to be doing that, it's important to keep those communication barriers down and channels of communication open. Then it comes to reprimands. How are you going to correct people online? Think about it. Little children, what are you going to tell them? I'm going to take you to the virtual principal's office. No, you can't do that. Plus, they have the option. They can say, click, I'm not going to attend this class anymore. Like some of us have left already. But that doesn't matter. The thing is, how are you going to bring that correction? With adults, you don't really need so much, though you may need to be a little bit strict about, timelines, and that's the only thing mostly adults you need to work with. But with children, you will have a lot of issues. They will come in and they will chat. They will this chat screen of us here, we are responding, we are communicating, but children will write and they will really create difficulty. So you have to teach them, children, this is how you virtual punishment, Mr. Jahan. Very tough. Very, very tough. So we've got people you'll have to tell them. Then, like in our ad, you'll have 5 children raising up their hands telling you, teacher, may I go to the bathroom? You don't want them to do that. So that includes your setting expectations. You'll say, if you wish to leave, you wish to go and come back quickly. Don't ask me, don't interrupt me, because 30 children in your class, in a 1-hour session, if 30 people, they ask you, you've had it. So That comes in your setting expectations. You need to be a little stricter, but not so strict that they get upset and unhappy, right? So if a student and a child or even an adult, yeah, gets unhappy, then it's not fun. You're not fulfilling your purpose in this. You have to be a little bit more relaxed and still getting it across to you. What? In a class. Tell them about me. What should I tell them about you? I don't know what you are. Well, okay. Now I think it's time for me to introduce him. This is Harry. And he's quite a nuisance. How dare you call me a nuisance? I'm the interesting one. I am not boring like you. You just keep talking. I am so fun. And besides, the children love me. They don't like you. You are too strict. Okay. If I'm too strict, then you tell me what I should be doing. Hang on. Why don't you tell them about Henry? Who's Henry? You don't remember we were studying oceans? I remember. Here we go. Oh, Henry. Ah, now I remember. Thanks for reminding me. I had to. You'll always forget. Hi, Henry. Did you know? Hello, everybody. Did you know that I have 2 hearts? The reason I did that, right? So I'm not expecting this to happen to our adult class, but we have a very large contingent of school teachers who sometimes are teaching very young children. Now, even if you're teaching 10 years old, trust me, you bring a puppet on and they are very, very happy because they have something to do. Little Henry or Harry can be very rude. He can be the difficult person. He can be the person that irritates the teacher who wants to have fun. If he's teaching your children math and if he's saying 2 times are 2, they will be happy to repeat it. So keep it fun. Keep it fun. For the others, for adults, keep it fun in other ways. What do adults find fun? Play games, be interactive, enjoy. There are things like Kahoot, which are quizzes and all of that you can build into your presentations to enjoy them. Our teachers especially. So I'm trusting that you will, my adult professors will bear with me. But then I always say that adults are babies in big bodies, so you might as well enjoy a puppet once in a while. And then the last thing I would say is keep the feedback open. You have to have feedback and you have to encourage it, because if you look at this thing over here, there's the teacher sitting over there and she's going on talking and talking and talking, and there is no one either raising a hand or talking or saying anything. Nobody's moving forward, and there she is feeling frustrated and unhappy and lonely, not able to do her best. So keep that feedback, encourage it, admire it, appreciate it, and do your very best to get as much of it as you can. And that feedback doesn't mean, there Purnima, I know, because these children, they're used to being entertained. They will watch television and everything will be like, they're used to it. That's what we're competing with when we are talking about it. We're talking about glitzy television. I'm not asking you to be glitzy, because then you're a TV anchor. You're not a TV anchor. You're a real live teacher and you need to be there. So Aisha, we will talk about technical sessions and how to make it interesting. Just give me a few minutes forward and we're just moving to the next. Just let me get the next slide. Yes, before I forget, my favorite thing about interaction is you have to be the guide on the side and not the sage on the stage. There will be people who will come to you and say and try to elevate you to that level, which is great. I've had that happen to me and we enjoy it. Trust me, all teachers, trainers know, oh, Guru, we love it. That is why we became teachers to a large extent, because we loved and admired our teachers and trainers and mentors so much that we wanted to do it as well. So we've got over here. So I would say that because online learning, you have to be the guide. You have to come to the level that your participant or your student can understand. Those days are gone when the teacher would be a military strict teacher. We don't have that physical presence anymore. So you have to be more approachable, more real. Let's move on to our next slide. The biggest thing about interaction is guard your time. Because now you have become approachable, you have become a friend, please take care of yourself. I understand that you wish to give them a lot, but assignments, online work, all of that really takes, I'm sorry, I have another slide in the middle, takes a lot of effort and time, marking them, doing this. It's a lot. So guarding your time, setting specific times to when you can interact, when you can be available. Tell them that I will answer my email in the evening. From this time to this time, you will get all your answers in the morning. If your email comes after that, then you will get it the next day, or you will get it whatever. So give yourself the leeway that you give people. Assignments, accept assignments half a day late. It's all right. Don't tell them that you're accepting it, but accept it. It's okay. Nothing will happen. Build in that delay in your curriculum. Let's move on to technology. So we work with, one second, please. Yes. So we work with technology. So technology is very important when you're in an online session to do your best to have stability. And that means access, of course, and facilities. You may, if you are a teacher trainer doing work online, excuse me, you will have, it may be better to have one Wi-Fi or internet connection. And okay, that's it. So it is good to have backup. You need to have a phone line that you can use as a hotspot, or some other format that you may be able to function better. Equipment. Now, equipment would be your mode of connection, which means laptops, phone, all of these that you have. One by one, you may take them. Lighting, very, very important. And a basic microphone. Now, you may be able to use your phone microphone or your iPad or whatever, but those sometimes cause echoes. They grab online noise. So you need a basic microphone. So I'm using a phone Bluetooth right now, but I could, if I didn't have one, I would use my phone. I always keep it as a backup anyway. So I use my phone very often. And I use that when I'm sitting in a webinar and I'm listening because it's more comfortable than the Bluetooth. So I use it. So I would, even if it looks a little weird to have that wire, I would suggest that you do. Lighting, it's very easy to get lighting. So I have something like this also. Can you see this? Yeah. And this needs to be placed behind your camera facing you. If you have something that looks like this, remember, be aware. See, you look like something out of a horror screen. Can you see that? Yeah. When you have this, you're too much in shadow, right? You're creating shadow. Too much on top and it washes out. So lighting is important. So you keep your lighting. I have a table lamp sort of thing behind my camera so that you can see my face without being distracted by all the paraphernalia. Same way when you have presentation. So camera would be the one thing that I would talk about because it's my pet peeve. When we are in a session, we have people who are like this, right? We have people who are like this, right? We have people we have people who are in all sorts of situations. As a teacher, it is important that they see your full face, as a coach trainer as well, a little bit more of your shoulders and a little lower as well. The reason I'm not showing more of this is because I need to operate my my system at the moment to change and everything. But otherwise, you could just stand. You could set your camera and your laptop higher, and you could stand and speak. Also, have your camera set to about 2-3 inches just above your eyes. Today, my camera is a little lower because I have a lot of presentations and technical things that I wish to show you, but otherwise it would be a little higher so that you could see me better. So camera and lighting is important. Again, this doesn't cost you money, right? A tiny lamp, or even if you have a bulb, it's good enough. You don't need to worry. Too much light, make sure your backgrounds are clean. It doesn't, again, have to be very fancy. Just clutter-free and clean so that your students are not distracted. In the same camera and lighting and presentation, I would talk about something that you would wear. Do your best not to wear stripes and wavy patterns because they pixelate. And they're pixelating, it distracts students. You don't want to. You want to be dressed. You don't have to put on, like for women, and even men, I would encourage you, you don't have to put on 10 layers of makeup. But if you were going out, what would you wear? What would you look like? Arjuna asked Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, no, Kim Asita, Vrajeta Kim. So how does he sit? How does he stand? How does he walk? How does he talk? A man of perfection. So we're going to say man, woman, person of perfection, or a person who is a teacher. How should they sit, stand, talk to be beautiful and effective online? It is nothing to do with glitzy camera ready things. It's just about being presentable so that you do not distract your viewer from your topic, your subject, and your content. Of course, now we're going to talk, if you realize I have demonstrated all of these for you. We've used a little bit of video that was recorded, the ad that we used. We've used messaging, we've used chat back and forth. In a webinar like this, it's difficult to do this, but if you're doing this for a long course, it's very easy to, talk to people. You may even have a seminar where you can literally speak with people as you teach them. You can have whiteboards for collaboration. I showed you the Jamboard already. You can have file sharing or organizing. And if you're using something like Zoom, you can have breakout rooms. This is also done, some applications are there in Google and Google Meet that you can have breakout rooms and connections. We are running fast out of time, so let's move forward. Yes, homework assignments. So we all love to give homework, or we all believe that we should. Right? Coaches and trainers have gotten over that. So they give you something and they tell you, it's okay, do it if you can. And we pray that it has effectively gone. That is something that teachers have to imbibe. They have to get in that feeling that whatever we do has to be done in class. And again, this is about being patient. So if you have some classwork like you would be doing in a real class, give it to the students and tell them, everybody, finger on your lip, the way we did in school, finger on your lip, finish these 10 addition sums, and then when you're done, we will look at them. So you would do that. Google Classroom has a whole bunch of extensions. There's so many that it's overwhelming. We can't even talk about it in this time. It is not fair as an online coach or teacher to expect that the child or the student is going to sit and do homework or whatever after your class. It's very difficult because they have already spent those 8 or 10 hours in classroom, in a virtual classroom, staring at a screen, which is tiring. As human beings, we know that. It does drain energy. So if you were, even as a coach or trainer, even for adults, I would tell you, teach them the palming, rub your eyes and do this. Learn it yourself, because that is going to be powerful for you. Learn a couple of brain gym movements that you can make everybody go jump up and down and cross, crawl. Make them move their arms. Do some exercises sitting down. All of this, children and adults also had space for a cup of coffee, for recesses where they could run and play. Here they don't. And learning is improved tremendously by movement. Anybody who has done brain gym, in our course, we also have a small section on brain gym to energize your classroom and to energize your participants into doing what they need. So be aware that even you are going to be tired and they are going to be tired. Allow for it and let it not be a handicap. Balance is key, as in everything. Absolutely everything. Whatever it is, realize that it is going to be a lot on your plate and you can do it. It's just planning, working, and doing it right the first time. There's just one more thing before we go to questions. So, Dr. Mahendra, maybe answer your questions after just 1 minute. Just a minute. I'm taking questions. Hang on, please. Just a minute. So, I wanted to share this last two minutes actually. I'd like to end by saying that I have a vision. We know that anywhere in IIT or IIM, all our students are welcomed wherever we go. We walk into a place, they walk into a place and a company welcomes them with open arms. How do we translate that? So we have 2.5 lakh students giving it. We have 30 to 50,000, qualifying and getting this. And out of that, 13 or 14, about between 1,000 students get admission. What about the remaining 35, 40,000 students? They qualified. They just didn't get into that institution. So we are talking about they are superbly capable. And the thing that makes them superbly capable is not only their own brains, it is the grooming. It is the absolute grooming that they receive from the IIT coaching. It is the blood, sweat, and tears of all the people involved trying to get them in. So it is the teachers, to me, that do it. And I want to see, I pray that it comes in my lifetime, that I want to see the day when people the world over will say, oh, a maths teacher from India is the best, or an English teacher, or even a Tamil teacher, or any teacher from India is the best. So if you're getting an online course from India, oh, you're getting the best. Because we have the quality. We have so many PhDs, we don't know what to do with them. It's just about a little bit of spit and polish and tweaking our methods so that we may be able to lead the way India did in ancient times. We may not have Nalanda anymore, but we have our 1 billion people and our educated people. So I don't want it to be brain drain, like, everybody runs away. With this option, your teachers can be in India and doing it. There's one more thing I wanted to share. I didn't get a chance to put this in my slide, but the global online education market forecast for 2020 to 2025 has projected an annual of 9% plus for the e-learning market. So that is 22 lakh crores, or USD 320 billion. Compared to 2019, it's an increase of nearly 130 billion USD, or US dollars. So the most valued Baiju, which was started in 2011 by Baiju Ravindran, is one of the most valued edtech companies at US 5.4 billion, or INR 37,800 crores. I believe that our teachers are our untapped wealth. We had all the people in the world coming to us for our phone skills and our administrative skills. But our teachers are our hidden wealth. And I really, truly, in my heart, know that with that little tweak, we could be the ones lighting the lamps in the world. So I end my presentation with this. I'll hand over to Vinod, and we are now open for questions. Thank you. I will turn on my chat screen so I can see it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This was a lovely presentation. It didn't seem like a presentation. It moved very softly and all through like a movie. Okay, it was a wonderful session. Thank you very much. And we have a couple of questions, and I would request all the participants to kindly put down your questions on the chat, and we will answer them one by one. Thank you.
Your answers for it. Okay, so I have one here. The difference between the concept of gamification and aspects of engagement in virtual learning environments. So when you talk about gamification, what is it? You're talking about making everything into a game, right? I think It's possible, it is easy, but then you don't want to spend so much time playing games that the student or the learner doesn't get the point. It's like when I'm doing a storytelling session. Yes. So like I mentioned to you, I'm a storyteller as well as a leadership coach. When we're doing a leadership training workshop, there are experiential learning games, or I might throw somebody off a cliff with a harness, or I might tell them to walk on glass, or I might tell them to walk on fire, right? So that's not a game, but online you can't make them walk on fire, so you'll ask them to play a game or to engage in some sort of thing. So I would say that when you have gamification, it is a very essential part of engagement, because the children and adults today enjoy it. However, when you are using it, you have to be aware that you cannot overuse it. It has to be just enough, like Goldilocks, not too much, not too little, just right. Using it to engage the person, and then you have to bring your teaching presence in by summarizing, by bringing the learning back. When I'm telling a story, it depends on the audience. Mostly for adults, I don't bring in the moral, because every teacher, everybody will get their own learning or teaching from the story, right? But like I did today, I had a particular point about the pan, or about my the story about the horse. I had a particular point, so I made sure I mentioned it softly and gently and in passing. So gamification also, you may use gamification as a test, like, okay, now children, this is what you've learned, and you can do this game, this to see if you can earn enough points. Kahoot does that. There's one more, I've forgotten the name. I'll tell you in a minute or two. It's slipping my mind right now. So what it does is that whatever you have learned, it is used as an assessment, or you may use it to practice something. Engagement, of course, because you're involved, and that is part of the interaction session that I mentioned, but I would not overuse gamification, and I would be aware that it is either used for assessment or to keep them engaged, and not just like that. It has to have an element or a purpose. Those 5 whys. Why am I late? I was late because I missed the bus. Why did you miss the bus? I woke up late. Why did you wake up late? I slept late. Why did you sleep late? I had a party the previous night and I forgot to set my alarm. So the 5 whys, why are you using that game? How is it engaging my students, participants, learners? And then what essentially am I getting by it? Dr. Mahendra, I'm trusting that answered your question. Just send me a thumbs up or a yes if it did, and we'll take any more. So Jeba Kumar asks, what is the ideal time of a session? So I would say, 1 minute, am I going first? Vinod, would you ask me the questions? Because I think I'm asking them in all over. Just a minute. Okay, ideal time, I'll go up, I'll answer them as they've come. So ideal time span of so the human psyche you can maximum listen to is 20 minutes. So after 20 minutes, you need to break the monotony. You need to have something interesting. If you realize in today's session, we broke the monotony once with a story, we broke it once with a poll, once with a puppet. We broke the monotony. We had a 1.5 hour session, and at least 3 or 4 times we broke that lecture that I gave you. And I did give you topics of interest, but I broke the monotony of just barely listening to me with that. So you have that 20 minutes, and then you break it, and then you go on, and then you give breaks. How can you evaluate participation and interaction between teachers and study? Okay, so for participation and interaction between teachers and study, you have what we call connection, right? So your communication and connection has to be teacher to student, student to student, and student to content. In your curriculum, you need to build assessment parameters to ensure that this interaction is happening. So teacher to student, you know that, okay, I have had so many chats with them, or so many conversations with them, or they have been able to talk back to me or answer me in that session. With student to content, obviously, you know, because they're completing their assignments and so on and so forth. Student to student is, like I mentioned, you seesaw, stream, you're moderating that. Allow the students to keep to do the work. Let them moderate it, but you be there. So you know that they're talking to each other, they're talking about the content, they're relating to the content, and that is your cognitive construct. You are creating that construct and that environment so that they may learn. How to use the 5 why analysis? Would you explain with an example? So I think I just did that. We can continue that a little bit later, but we can, what sort of engagement activities do you suggest? So I would say engagement activities would be, again, group discussions, speaking, talking, and also you could have anything. You could have quizzes, like the poll that I asked you to do. That's an engagement activity. The jam board I asked you to do, that's an engagement activity. For the poll, you could design a quiz and say, okay, now I want you to make a quiz and answer this, right? And once you're done with that, these are just simple ones. You can play online. Yeah, you can give them research papers and assignments, right? Because if they are doing the research and say, okay, now I want you to make a presentation. So on every Monday, say, this student will make a presentation on this. Same tricks that our teachers used on us when they didn't want to do it, but now it has become essential. There is no other way getting out of it. You have to get them to do the work if they are going to be engaged. You can't do it for them. You have to be the guide on the side and not the sage on the stage. Optimum time interval, I've already answered. Wonderful. Thank you, sir. How have professors been able to transition? So now, Dr. Mahendra, it is not so simple, right? Because we have had to jump into this situation. Let me read that out for everybody. So how have professors been able to transition complex ideas and concepts to a virtual learning environment? So my answer to this is really, it is not so easy. That said, it was, we are creative. Human beings are super creative. We do whatever we can when we know what we want to do. That is, again, a metaphysical and a leadership coaching if everybody wants to take it. And I request you to listen with the intent to be influenced in this particular sentence. When we know the what, the how comes about. So there have been some students and some professors who have been very successful at doing this. I do have some examples of them, and that's where I get my inspiration. But it happens once they are so passionate and they love their subjects. If you were to look online, I don't have examples of professors. There was this example, I don't have it here with me, but I can perhaps forward it to you, Dr. Mahendra, at some stage if you will leave your email with the group. It is about this professor who literally formed a beautiful presentation on math and on philosophy, and using that presentation, the entire adult class was laughing and they got the whole thing. Technology has you can have so much fun with technology if you have a little bit curiosity and a little bit desire. The idea, like I said, is being willing, just willing to embrace that new thing that is happening. There is going to be a huge market for it. Even when all of this outside situation comes back to normal, I know that I will be grateful if there are some online courses for me to take as well as to give, because I have something to offer. And I'm sure there are other teachers, trainers, coaches who have something to offer. So why not? That is never going back. So people have been able to do it. I can send you examples. I don't have, like I said here, but they are able to do that because they are creative, willing to just jump into the fray, and they just want their students to get it. Questions to the resource: how to make our presentation more attractive and catchy. Dr. Bijay, would you say my presentation was a little bit attractive? Maybe not too much like other people, because I'm not such an expert. I'm good, but I'm not that great. So you can make your presentation more attractive and catchy by not being boring. Literally, if it's a little child, something like that. But if you're an adult, you can crack a joke. One of our favorite professors in graduate school always had shairis for us. So we begged him. He taught law. And honestly, although we love law is freedom, free from passion, reason free from passion. But at that time, we were, 17, 18 years old, and we didn't want to study it really. So he always had some sort of shayari happening. So he would explain, and then he would give something. Then he would explain and he would give something. So in your presentations, make it interesting. That means getting to know your students and what they find attractive. If your age group is 15 onwards, you know that something is there. Teachers have been engaging their students for years. It's only about, like Dr. Mahendra said, translating it online by being creative. So I never used a puppet until I started online storytelling. Never. I mean, I used to use puppets for my children, but I didn't. Now, because I am online, I need to get them. I'm competing with television and Dora and Chin Chan and whoever all of those people are. How do I get their attention? So I do whatever I can. I use props. I use, pom-poms. That's for children, right? So for adults, there's another thing that I can tell you. You can stand in front of a television screen. You can have, you have your presentation at the back and you stand here. So they're very attracted by that. It looks small, it looks smarter, it looks glitzy. It's possible. I hope that answers your question. Any more different gamification we've done? Okay, so I believe that's all we have time for now today. Vinod, do you want to take it forward?
Yeah, I think we have answered many of them over here. In fact, most of them are answered. Thank you very much, Dr. Priti. One second. So thank you, Dr. Priti, for this wonderful session. And we move on for the next announcement. This is our next webinar, what we have in association with Bharatidasan University Department of Social Work and Transcribe People Solutions Private Limited. We cordially invite you for a session on gerontology and senior citizen care management for social workers and caregivers. This session will start from July 6th till July 10th, 2020. There is a small announcement on the continuation of this particular session. The 5th of July, that's a Guru Purnima day, we have a small announcement which will come on our website, www.transcat.in. We're looking at a complete version or a basic and an advanced program of going virtual. So Dr. Priti has agreed for putting us a beautiful curriculum here, and it's in the final stages, and we are looking at announcing this on the 5th of July. The same is also included in our feedback. If anybody is interested, we will take it offline and interact with you and take these things further. We are reachable on contact@transcat.in, and our mobile numbers 95902-02404. We also have a YouTube channel where all the presentations are primarily put across, and these are live, so you could access them all through that. And they are also present on our website, transcat.in, under the news section. I've already shared the feedback forms. Request you to kindly fill the forms, please. This will help. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Priti. Thank you, Vinod. Thank you, all the participants.
So thank you, everybody. I will take your leave now, because in the next 10 minutes, I have another webinar that I must get to. I'm very grateful for all your lovely feedback, for your interaction, for your questions. And it has been a wonderful afternoon for me. I'm trusting that it has for you as well. So thank you, James, yes, Vinod. Yes. I will catch up with you offline tomorrow again.
Yes. Thank you. Of Rotary Bangalore Sneha, Dr. Nithilas, thank you. And thank you from Transcat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will connect soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.